Kevin Durant's life is about to change once again. Just a year ago, in 2023, KD packed his bags and headed to the desert. The Suns traded away their future, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and multiple draft picks, to build a super team around Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. However, now that vision is crumbling faster than anyone could have imagined. It started with Monday's news. Phoenix has fired head coach Mike Budenholzer after just one season. A clear sign, something big is coming, and according to Shams Charania, that something might be Kevin Durant himself.
Back at the NBA trade deadline, there were a list of teams that there was mutual interest with Kevin Durant and those teams, and that's Minnesota, that's New York.
Yes, the Suns are expected to listen to trade offers for the 15-time All-Star, and they won't do it behind closed doors either. The franchise plans to work directly with Durant and his business partner, Rich Kleiman, to find a new destination. This is monumental. Kevin Durant, at 36 years old, is still performing at an elite level, averaging 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, and over 4 assists per game this season. But somehow, it still wasn't enough. The Phoenix Suns finished with a disappointing 36-46 record, completely missing the mark, despite boasting 3 stars on paper. That super team experiment, it's already crumbling. The Suns are reportedly exploring options to move Bradley Beal, though his no-trade clause makes that process far from simple. Durant, for his part, stayed committed, at least publicly. When asked about the team's situation after the trade deadline, he expressed his desire to finish the season in Phoenix. There was still hope. A second-half surge could have rewritten the story. Maybe they'd get hot, make the playoffs, and prove the doubters wrong. But that run never came. The collapse was real. And now, Durant's time in the desert feels like it's coming to a close. Here's where things get interesting. By choosing to block a mid-season return to Golden State, Durant didn't just shut the door, he might have opened a different one that leads to a more strategic, collaborative exit. The Suns understand the reality. Durant doesn't want to waste the final prime years of his career on a non-contender. That means they'll likely work with him and his business partner, Rich Kleiman, to find a new home. And rest assured, it'll be a team with championship potential. And as for the Warriors, don't count them out just yet. Even though Durant turned them down earlier this season, he later appeared on Draymond Green's podcast in March and made one thing clear: there's no bad blood. I ain't got no smoke with the Warriors, man. It's all love. But Golden State might have already moved on. They pulled off a big-time trade for Jimmy Butler at the deadline, and with that move, they may have closed the door on a Durant reunion for good. And so now, we wait. With the Phoenix Suns facing a long and uncertain offseason, one question stands out: who's ready to make a move? Before diving in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, during his recent appearance on the Pat McAfee show, mutual interest existed between Durant and 5 teams at the deadline: the Miami Heat, New York Knicks, Minnesota Timberwolves, San Antonio Spurs, and Houston Rockets. The Heat were reportedly closest to pulling the trigger back then, especially since they still had Jimmy Butler on the roster. The Suns had been eyeing Butler for months, so a deal involving him and Durant wasn't just possible, it was real. But in the end, Miami flipped Butler to the Warriors, deciding KD was too expensive at that point. That's a decision they might be rethinking as the offseason approaches. Then there's the Knicks. Durant was linked to them back in 2019, before signing with Brooklyn. At the time, it felt like a perfect match. Madison Square Garden, the bright lights of New York, and one of the league's biggest stars. But fast forward to now, and things are a lot trickier. New York burned a lot of their draft capital to bring in Mikal Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns, forming one of the most talented and balanced rosters they've had in years. If they wanted KD now, the deal would have to be built around current players, young stars, key veterans, and the Suns would have to be in full win-now mode to even consider it. But would the Knicks be willing to break up the most promising core they've had in 2 decades just for one last superstar swing? The playoffs might end up answering that question for them, and the next one is Minnesota. On paper, it might seem random, but when you look closer, it makes a lot of sense. KD has built a strong bond with Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards ever since the two teamed up during the Olympics in Paris last summer. Edwards has always looked up to Durant, and now, with new ownership in town, Alex Rodriguez and Mark Law officially taking over from Glenn Taylor, the Wolves are entering a brand new era. Their GM, Tim Connolly, even has an opt-out clause in his contract this summer. So whether Minnesota make a push for Durant, that all depends on who's calling the shots when July rolls around. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Minnesota has the pieces to pull off a blockbuster. Names like Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, Dante DiVincenzo, and even young gun Rob Dillingham could catch Phoenix's attention. And let's be honest, Phoenix needs help. Now, don't sleep on the Spurs. They've already made noise by trading for De'Aaron Fox at the deadline, and they're stacked with assets. If San Antonio wants KD, they can make it happen easily. But here's the twist. Is now the right time? Wembanyama's rookie year was put on pause by a scary blood clot issue. The Spurs are still super young. So the question becomes, do they cash in now for a potential short-term title run with Durant? Or do they stay patient and build the perfect team around Wemby's prime? And then, there's Houston. The Rockets have been circling both Durant and Devin Booker for a while now. But here's the catch. Houston holds Phoenix's first-round picks in both 2027 and 2029. That's huge. If the Suns want to blow it up and start over, the road leads straight through Houston. They have the leverage. The Suns literally can't rebuild without them. So the Rockets could pounce on Durant, or they could wait, play the long game, and make a move for the younger star, Devin Booker. Look, this postseason is going to answer a lot of questions. Some of these teams won't even be in the playoffs. Others are just one good or bad series away from changing their entire future. And the wildest part, there are probably teams we're not even talking about yet that could throw their hat in the ring for the former MVP. But one thing's becoming crystal clear. Whether it's Minnesota, San Antonio, Houston, or some wild card we don't see coming, Kevin Durant is headed for another shakeup. And it might be the last one of his legendary career. Kevin Durant's legacy is still being written.
Durant, the cutting toss.
But this next move, it could define everything. One of the greatest scorers this game has ever seen is back on the market, and the entire NBA is holding its breath. Wherever KD lands next, it won't just shift the balance of power, it could change the league forever. So now we turn it over to you. Where do you think Durant should go? Drop your predictions in the comments below. And if you're loving this kind of deep NBA coverage, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns just like this, and ring the bell so you never miss a single twist in this wild basketball drama. This story's only getting started, and you'll want front row seats. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.